Hello, everybody. Welcome to our breakout session on tackling tickets and tracking targets. Just a mic check. Can everyone hear me okay? Just give me a wave if you can hear everything. Great. I see a lot of familiar faces, so thank you for joining us. We have a little bit different format today. You're going to have me and D-Rex. I am the TCO of Hoopla, which is a Burning Man camp from Houston that is focuses on breakfast tacos. We focus on bringing new people to Burning Man. I'm also a volunteer for camp support for Burner Network, which provides grants to camps that are in financial need. And I'm also a volunteer for the 25 to Thrive regional network project that they're working on to re-envision that network. With me today as co-pilot is my wife, D-Rex. D-Rex, if you want to say hi.
Hello, everybody.
D-Rex is the TCO of another Houston camp called Hooli. Our two camps are together in a hubs, and we sort of did that for the first time last year. And as a camp that focuses on bringing new people and focuses on one regional geography, which is the Houston, Texas area, we spend an enormous amount of time thinking about and talking about and working on tickets. And so we thought this would be a really good topic to try to bring to you guys after all of the ticket shenanigans that happened last year. And so we wanted to uh, talk a bit about how we handled it, as well as sort of bring you guys into the conversation and better understand how you handled things. The symposium at its core are TCOs and campers helping each other. So we want to provide a forum and an opportunity for everyone to get into that mix. So what are we going to talk about today? We are going through developing a concept called a ticket target. We're going to talk about sourcing tickets. We're going to talk about navigating ticket allocations and what do you do with the allocations that Burning Man gives you and how can you think about that. We're going to talk about how to avoid losing money on tickets and otherwise. We're going to talk about selling tickets and avoiding scams. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the interaction between tickets and incentives. So this breakout is part of an ongoing series that we've been doing for a number of years on camp finances. Because we're so involved with Burner Network and we're so involved with camps that have financial issues or need help, this is a topic that's near and dear to our hearts. Here are some of the other symposium content that we've provided going back as far as 2020. This QR code at the bottom, if you scan that with your phone, that'll take you to the Burning Man YouTube channel in the playlist section. And you'll be able to, by going in and finding the playlists for these years, find these other talks. One of the ones that we get a lot of questions about and people have talked a lot about on social media is forming a 501c3. But other topics on keeping your camp financially in the black, keeping it break even or better, thinking about how financials sort of impact incentives. And then back in 2020, when we were not sure we were going to have the event, what do you do about managing uncertainty? All of those topics fold in to this talk today, specifically around one topic, which is tickets. So we're going to be applying a lot of things from those previous talks. So the first concept that we want to talk about today is the idea of developing a ticket target. This is something that D-Rex and I do in our camps, and we sit down every year and spend some time on the front end thinking a lot about what this ticket target number is. And the thing that we always start with is the last year. We evaluate what we did. We have a survey that goes out to our camps and to our memberships and asks, what could we improve? What did you like? Right level of interactivity, more or less. Did the camp have the right feel? Did it have the right resources? Just kind of a really strong check. We also spent a lot of time thinking about the finances of our camp and making sure that we have thoroughly accounted for our costs and that we thoroughly understand any money that came into the camp so that we understand what our buffer was. And we make sure that the camp doesn't lose money. We make sure that people get reimbursed. We make sure that we understand, importantly, what the cost structure of our camp is. So most camps have fixed costs, which they're going to pay regardless of what happens in the camp or how many people you bring. And then there are other costs that go up and down depending on the number of campers that you have. One of those, for example, is water. So if you have 10 campers and you're providing water, you're going to provide a very different amount of water than you would if you had 100 campers. So that varies with the population that you have. And with that sort of thought through, it enables us to circle back to the idea of what do we want to do now to take that forward into this year, right? So what changes do we want to make? Is it more? Is it less? Is it the same? What do we think the number of people that we need to do that is? Where it's more or it's less or the same. From that really strong idea of what we're doing and what our cost structure is, it makes it pretty easy for us to see what is the minimum number of people that we need to make the camp work, both from a labor standpoint, from a volunteering standpoint, from a cost standpoint. Depending on what we do with dues or things of that nature, we have donations or we have a fundraiser that all factors in. But we sort of bring all of these things together to think about what is the minimum number of people that we need in the camp to make that work. And then obviously, once you know the minimum number of your people that you need in your camp, the minimum population, that translates very easily into your ticket target. What is the minimum number of tickets do you need that you need to make that population able to get to the playa? With that sort of bottom end, that basin established, then we think about, okay, well, how much could we grow beyond that minimum? And still not sort of really blow up our camp, right? So our cost structure is this, variable costs are this. We sort of expect to have this much transport. What is our minimum and what is our max in terms of what that size range the camp can be in? But this number, this ticket target, this minimum, is a really important number for us. Burning Man asked for it in your placement questionnaire. They want to know what's the minimum number of people that you need for this. To my knowledge, they use that to help set how many steward cell tickets they offer you. But really understanding this ticket target is a big part of sort of taking this forward. So before we talk about sourcing tickets and how we get all those tickets to go to our minimum, I just want to pop into chat. I want to pop into you guys and your thoughts and say, how do you think about the number of tickets that you want to bring or you want to get each year? I don't know if anyone does things differently than what I've described above, or if that's something that someone has a different idea about how you think about the number of tickets that you get each year. And while we let people talk in chat, if they're interested, if you're not, I'll offer up an alternative that someone I was talking with another, yesterday actually about this, and they were saying that they are not people who really focus on numbers. They're not a camp that really spends a lot of time trying to understand their numbers. They have a sort of a patron that sort of takes care of everything. And the way that they think about tickets and the way that they approach the number of tickets that they get is they frankly just get every ticket they possibly can. So they're going out and saying, okay, I have no idea how many tickets I need. So the only thing that I can think to do is get every possible ticket early that I can, and then I'll just figure it out. And we had a lot of discussion back and forth about how easy is that at that point to sort of make decisions. And they say it's very hard, but they have a long time window so that they can fix that, or if they have too many tickets, or maybe they end up with not enough tickets, they can sort of adjust. But and that's certainly one way to go. And there are a lot of people that pursue that approach. But what I'm urging and what I'm suggesting has worked well for us is to do a little bit of work with numbers, to do a little bit of work with your bank statement or whatever where you track your finances, to know where you could be. Jedi in chat says that he does it a little bit differently, and this is great. This is the way that we want to have this conversation. We want to get different people's thoughts in there. He says it's conceptually different. The worst part of the process is the allocation period and the management of assets. We certainly don't do what you're talking about. That's pretty unethical. Well, tell me more about what's unethical. He says we also don't call it dues, call it contribution. I'd love to weave you into the conversation. So if you want to add more, raise your hand and we'll talk about that. I don't, yeah, he's in here. Let's get him unmuted.
Senator, the Atlas chaplain also wants to talk.
Excellent.
Awesome. I've done these symposiums before, so I won't take up much time. And I just had to be pulled out of Walmart because I was like, oh no, I mean not Walmart, Whole Foods, because I was like, oh, I can't resist this at all. I guess that the population one for me has always been hard because we operate very, very open. So we have a core crew, but we're also going to fit as many people on the property as we possibly can. So and I mean to some degree we have a very low camp contribution that we ask. We've been about $240. And that comes with a kitchen and some amount of electricity and some amount of shade, and that comes with water and gray water removal and a bar and ton of stuff. So everybody's been trying to get me to go smaller over the years. I will just say it here. I think I said it in the chat because there's a couple different points that I was making. Was that if Burning Man gave me, my 40 tickets, my 24 WAPs, and my 20 parking passes, and they gave me 2 months to sell those, to allocate them, that would simplify things. That was significantly. If I had 2 months to really have the time to be thoughtful, give people the opportunity to jump in. March 15th is about the worst time of year that you could possibly sell. Most of my people are in production and events anyway, and taxes too. So if you have any questions for me, I'll just make that my quick point and step back out.
Well, the one thing I did want to ask you, what did you think is unethical? Is it the idea of coming up with a ticket target, or the second example I gave of the other person that was just getting as many tickets as they could?
Bro, the second, I mean, we could do that. I could have 15 of my friends. I could register all my family members. If you have the cash to do it, I could do that. But we don't do that. I mean, I won't lie. I've got some pocket tickets, but those come from many different angles and for many different reasons. That because I've been doing this for over 12 years. I mean, you get close to the burn, you need a ticket, you need a parking pass. People use me as a clearinghouse for this because I've been a connection point. I'm the guy who gets the tickets for Burning Man anyway, right? So I've established myself as somebody who's trustworthy and who can kind of like help redirect tickets as they become available. But yeah, I would say hoarding tickets, that's unethical.
Yeah. Well, and thank you for that. And thank you for providing some input here. I love the way that you guys are thinking about this. I will say we all heard the presentation from Level earlier about how the city, in some respects, it's full. I mean, they're trying to get camps to take a year off. And kind of part and parcel of that is tickets are full, right? They only have so many tickets that they can allocate to theme camps, and people who hoard tickets because they're not doing some planning. It's perhaps easier, but it also takes tickets out of the hands of other people that might need them. We have a limited resource, not only in space, but a limited resource in tickets. The BLM has put a cap on the population for the event that Burning Man hasn't been able to get raised. So that is a big part of why we're doing this presentation, is to urge people, hey, spend a little bit of time on the front end, try to really tighten up that ticket target. so that we can leave more tickets for other folks out there. So Assless Chaplain, you have your hand up. I want to bring you in. What's going on, man? It's good to see you again.
Good to see you too. Always. Honestly, I've been kind of hankering for your faces, you two. It's been too long.
That's fine.
So the Assless Chapel is kind of a weird camp in that we have no camp dues whatsoever. And while there are a couple of us who bring a ton of stuff, I run a little farmstead and I'm a bit of a long time burner, so I have a lot of gear. We have someone else who's like on his 20th burn, so we tend to be able to bring stuff so everybody has showers and whatnot. But we tell them not to expect it. There are no camp dues, but we all say we're not going to do shit for you. Although again, we have our stuff there. So, but that leads us with ticketing to have kind of a hybrid model, right? Because I know there are a core of us who will build, make sure everything goes well. And so that's like our only ticket target. We don't have a ticket target for the whole camp. We have a ticket target for what I know I need to do so that things don't fall apart. Now, to give a little bit of a contrary situation than Jedi was talking about, this year, unfortunately, we tend to get 2 tickets every year from the woman who once ran into Burning Man like in the 90s and then did the man logo. And so she gets 2 free tickets every year. She feels she's too old to go anymore. But our tickets got snaked by someone else this year. So I had told Burning Man, we don't need as many tickets. We have a good source. Now we're probably too short of what we need. So we'll see how this year goes. But what I'll say, beyond having that ticket target, then I tell everybody, like, hey, you're in the camp as long as we have place. Like, we have to cap it because of what placement says. And it's just everybody will do everything they can to get tickets until that moment that we have enough. And last year, of course, we kind of screwed ourselves that some people got stuck with tickets they couldn't get rid of because we just kept going to try to make sure everyone had them, and we went over. But what I'll say I do to manage that, because there's always the fear, what if we don't get enough tickets? So I try to have really clear policies. So that is, there are some people who I will just say, these people are important enough to the camp, they get first priority. Next comes people with seniority. And then after that, it's kind of first come, first serve, whoever was able to commit to the camp earlier. So I do that because I don't want to be the guy who's then, trying to convince someone that they didn't get tickets just because we don't like them or something, right? And then there are hurt feelings.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you giving some input. So that's another important sort of part of this thinking. We talked about a camp that sort of takes all the tickets they can because they haven't done a lot of analytics on what they might actually need. There are also people who worry that they're not going to have enough tickets. So you should take all the tickets you can, right? Get every ticket you can because you really don't know what your population is going to look like, and you're not sure what you need to make the camp successful. And that's the benefit of sitting down and spending some time doing this, is you can develop some confidence about, look, if I can get to this number, this ticket target, I know that if I don't get one more person beyond that, if I don't get one more ticket beyond that, I'll still be able to do the things that the camp needs to do to be successful and for us to feel good about the year. And so I really appreciate what you're saying, Assless Chaplain. And I would encourage everyone to spend just some time. Not everyone, is a finance major, an accounting major, or, does this professionally. I'll say that there's a lot of people out there that are willing to help do this. Camp support, which I'll put up their email address at the end. It's campsupport@burningman.org. There's people here to help you. But, in addition to thinking about doing things like taking the year off or things to help manage the population at Black Rock City, really having camps think about just what they need to get by is a great place for us all to start. D-Rex, anything else before we move on?
No.
Thanks. Okay, let's talk about sourcing tickets. So you have an idea now of how many tickets you need to be minimally successful for what you want to accomplish, the minimum number of tickets you need to pull it off. You have a sense of, hey, here's kind of what we could accommodate or we could grow to without sort of really disrupting what we're trying to do. But let's talk about sourcing those tickets. A lot of times I meet folks or I talk with folks that are really focused on these big chunks of this pie chart, like the steward cell and the main cell. And they neglect all of these other slices of the pie. And the thing that I want to make sure that people pick up on, especially newer TCOs, is that there are an enormous number of avenues that you can get tickets through for your camp, for your project. And along the way, you're helping volunteers, say, or you're helping someone else's project. But let's just quickly hit some of those. The steward sale, that's something that has just happened. This is sort of the allocation that Burning Man gives you based on your minimum ticket number that you communicate to them. The main sale comes up. The main sale is a total crapshoot. So this is basically my camp hoopla for last year, where we got all of our tickets. And normally this main sale slice is really, really, really small. And for whatever reason, we got just super lucky last year, and we had a ton of people enter the main sale. I will tell you what helps me a lot, and what helps D-Rex a lot with her camp is we think very carefully about who is going into the steward sale. And we try to make sure that people that are not going into the steward sale are going into the main sale. A lot of times you're sort of taking your best, most motivated core people and you're giving them steward sale tickets. Unfortunately, sometimes that leaves other people in your camp who maybe are not quite in that category, who you're looking to source their tickets through the main sale. And so what has been successful for us to do, and I would encourage other people to do, is we spend a lot of time with the rest of our camp that aren't getting steward sale tickets that we need for our minimum ticket number to encourage them to be in the main sale. We have a conference call that they can join. We have email reminders that go out. We sort of kind of continuously go into these people and say, hey, look, radical self-reliance, you need to get in the main sale. I know it's a crapshoot. I know it's highly unlikely you're going to get tickets that way, but please try. And by doing that, that's in part what kind of helped us be successful last year. Providence met planning and provided us with an opportunity to get those tickets. Some of you know about, and I think maybe some don't, that there is a second steward sale. I don't think it's called steward sale. I forget exactly what the name of this is, but it functions just like the steward sale, where placement and other departments sort of come in and say, hey, in support of some extra areas, in the past it's been ride or it's been sustainability, or maybe you've had a conversation with placement and your minimum ticket number has changed or something similar, and you get allocated a few more tickets here. That's a route. Obviously, everyone knows about the Oh My God sale. Not everybody knows that there's a burner bus sale towards the end of the season, where if you come in a little bit later, so this isn't your build crew people, these are people that are coming in maybe Monday-ish, they can buy a burner bus ticket and a Burning Man ticket in one package. There are volunteer tickets. Every department's different, but if you volunteer a certain amount for other departments, or other than your camp, say, let's say it's the DMV, or let's say it's placement, or let's say that it's the artery or something similar. Above certain thresholds of volunteering, they offer you access to tickets. Some tickets come from projects. We have mutant vehicles in our camps. So we have gotten tickets associated with those mutant vehicles. There was another Houston camp a couple of years ago that was a conclave camp. So they got a bunch of tickets associated with conclave. People that are doing art projects, many years ago now, we had a Houston project that was an honorarium. They got a bunch of tickets associated with that. So bringing things beyond just your theme camp can sometimes be a source of tickets. The ticket aid program is something that we always encourage people in our camp to apply to. We have people every year in the ticket aid program. It used to be called the low income program, but they've changed the name. They don't provide a lot of guidance about who qualifies for this and who doesn't qualify for this. So for anyone in our camp who we think this might be a good fit for, we encourage them to apply, and apply early, because those spots are first come, first serve, as I understand it. As you apply, they go through them in order. So that deadline is coming up here very shortly. That opens, not a deadline, but the process opens. So if you have anyone in your camp you think that's a good fit for, I would encourage you to tell them to apply early. And the FOMO sale we encourage our campers not to do the FOMO sell unless there's someone of great means, because all of these other routes, and by really knowing your minimum ticket number, that's unnecessary, at least in our population, but always a route as well. The FOMO sell is kind of an important indicator, and we're going to talk more about that. But let's leave it there for a minute. The way we think about our minimum ticket number is that is what we are targeting with not as much us FOMO, but other people use FOMO and the steward sell to really sort of try to tune that so that by this time each year, we know that we are at our minimum viable number. So that means backing up a couple of months, we already did this work. We already did looking at our finances. We already did thinking about what we're going to do this year. We've thought about the numbers. We've thought about the minimum camp population. We already have our ticket target number. So if you sort of think about this FOMO and steward sale happening through the middle of March, you kind of know where you're at. And okay, we are not where we need to be. So we need more tickets to make our camp sort of viable, or we need to adjust our plans, or we need to put some more thought into this now. The rest of all of this stuff, the main sale, the other steward sale, the oh my God sale, all this stuff we don't count on. It's nice if some of those things happen, and we certainly encourage people to do these things. But this is where, if you back up a second, where this growth beyond your minimum ticket target, that's where that comes for us. And our camp scales well so that we can add 10, 15, 20 people from these other sources if we're successful in getting tickets and they want to come with us and it's a good fit and we're not overly stressing out the camp. But if we get none of this stuff, we get nothing in the main sale, we get nothing in any one of these sales, that we can still breathe the camp, still comfortable, and most importantly, the camp's not going to lose money, or we're not going to have enough manpower to get on and off the playa safely and do a good job. So that's how we think about sourcing tickets. There's one category that you don't see here, which is resale or step or things of that nature. That's because I've kind of looked through how we acquire tickets to what the original source of those tickets were. Some of these tickets, like the ticket aid program, are non-transferable. I don't think the burner bus tickets are transferable. The volunteer tickets are not transferable, but some of these other things are. But I want to come back over to chat and let's talk a little bit about sourcing tickets. The population of Hoopla. So this, we just finished our 5th year. The population varies each year between 40 and 60 people. We were on the higher end of that this past year. D-Rex, what other questions do we have?
Yes, somebody's asking, somebody said here, let me check. Drew said, I am curious to hear an example of sourcing ticket breakdown for a new theme camp that doesn't have access to store tickets.
That's a great question. Let's talk about new theme camps. So D-Rex, her camp was new last year for the first time. It was the first time camp for her. And D-Rex, if you want to dive in here, please do. But I will say that the sort of expectations and the way ticketing and sizing worked kind of changed in the middle of the season last year. But to my knowledge, it's going to be the same this year. And that is, for a first-time camp, you get 100 by 100. I think that's feet, 100 feet by 100 feet. And so that sort of dictates, in some respects, how big your camp can be. And I forget the exact number that placement sort of thinks of, but I think it's around like 15, 20 people can go into that size space. And so in this second steward sale, which takes place, a couple months from now, my understanding is that there is an opportunity sometimes, if you're able to, apply and everything goes well and you get placed, to pick up tickets in this sale. And I may be wrong. This is definitely something to email camp support about if you're thinking about it for next year. I think that in the process where you provide sort of a statement of intent, which happened a couple months ago to Burning Man, they allowed new camps to also put in statements of intent, and they may have gotten tickets out to some of those camps. But whether it's here in this steward sale or whether it's here in the second steward sale, there are tickets that placement can help you with. Obviously, you want to get as many people as you can in the main sale, because that's such a crapshoot. It's very hard for first time attendees of Burning Man to get volunteer tickets. But you can also check and see what projects are going on in your town, in your area. Is there an honorarium project? Is there a mutant vehicle? You guys can help out with that. Maybe even host the build team for those things, or help host an art car or something, so a mutant vehicle. The Ticket Aid program is available and open to you. There obviously step and resell channels. Remember, this chart again shows stuff that was the ultimate original source of tickets for us, but there's a big resale market. So unfortunately for a first time camp, you get this figured out later than other camps. So remember I talked about earlier, kind of by this time through that first steward sale for Hoopla, I want to know that we're at our minimum ticket number, or I need to start, hustling or doing stuff to try and make that happen or adjust what we're doing. Unfortunately, the way it works for first time camps is you're going to get that sorted out a little bit later. I'm confident based on what happened last year that there are tickets out there and that you can get tickets. I know it's maybe a little nerve-wracking to not have all the tickets you need for your minimum number. So you kind of have to keep that number small because you're a first-time camp. But working all of these channels as best you can, I think is the right place to start. Drew, raise your hand if that did not adequately answer your question, and we'll circle back. D-Rex.
I think Greg has his hand up. He wants to ask something.
Okay, Greg, I'm going to unmute you. Or ask you to unmute. And then I see that you've asked, please repeat the part on the burner bus. And then what is the population of Hoopla? Hoopla was around 60 people last year. And it varies 40 to 60 for us, depending on how all this goes and what our minimum ticket numbers for the year and all that sort of stuff. The part of the bus, so that the Burner Express has a sale that they do. I forget when exactly it is. Maybe it's June, July timeframe, but they will offer a combo package where you can buy a Burner Express ticket, and also you can buy a Burning Man ticket alongside that. The one caveat is, and they're probably doing this to manage the load on the buses a little bit, they ask you to come later. So you can't come in Sunday or right when the gate opens. They usually ask you to come in Monday as the earliest, if I recall correctly. Greg, did that answer your questions? If not, feel free to dive in and or type in chat, and we'll answer.
It does answer my question. I just wanted to share some additional information about
Please.
the tickets for new camps. We had a new camp in our hub last year.
Okay.
And I was a lead for an established camp. This year we split the established camp into two smaller camps. So my camp is officially new. So I kind of have a perspective on both sides of it. So
nice.
If you have a new camp, you have to work with placement kind of explicitly and talk to them and exchange a few emails. And what you can expect to happen is that they will allocate some number of tickets for you. However, they will kind of make it conditional on your placement questionnaire and a few other things. So you will be able to buy these tickets in what you called earlier the stewardship sale number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I was not able to get a commitment out of them for when that is. They sell later after they review the placement questionnaire, which is fair enough. It makes a lot of sense. unfortunately, I think something that they're missing is that a lot of people would like to help with the camp and give a lot of their time and resources to Burning Man. They need planning safety, and even if they cannot know exactly about their tickets, they want to know when they know. So if placement would say, well, you don't get to know until June, but in June and this date for sure, that would be a great help. So if there's any way to kind of channel feedback to them through this channel here, yes, I realize that it takes time, but if they could commit to a date, even if it's a date is long out, it would be a great help. But hopefully this helps the new people here who are having questions about new camp tickets. So work with placement.
Thank you, Greg. And I will tell you guys that I sit on the Camp Support Council, and we have sort of direct access to Level and these guys, and we will bring these things back to them. I will tell you, D-Rex and I kind of sort of seeing the process for a first time camp last year, the modern process. When we started Hoopla, it was like 2017, I think it was. So it's been a while. It's better. It's way better than it used to be, but it's still much harder, I think, for new camps to understand how they're getting tickets, when they're getting tickets, than an established camp. And I know that that's something that placement is aware of and that they're trying to help with. A little bit of inside baseball to let you guys know, the steward sale, the first and second one, those sales take place on an entirely different engine within Burning Man than the main sale. So the main sale, the Oh My God sale, those are outsourced to a third-party ticket provider. The steward sale, the first and second one, up until I think very recently, I think they're trying to get them on the same platform, but those had kind of a totally different process. And, a lot of different departments are coming together to sort of provide the list of people so that they can have that sale. And so it's a lot of cat herding. And that's why I think sometimes they're not exactly sure when they can have that sale, because they're waiting on a department, or there's something happening where they're trying to fix something, or something happened maybe in one of the earlier sales they're trying to fix. So I know they want to be more focused and sort of fixed about when those things happen, but unfortunately that's sort of their sale to sort of clean up issues. And so it's a little bit harder for them to land on a date. Now I'm not a Burning Man employee or anything like that. That's just my understanding, having worked with these guys for a while as a volunteer. But I would encourage you as a first time camp, if you don't have the information that you need, placement is extremely responsive. So you're not out of bounds in the slightest bit to email placement@burningman.org and say, guys, I just need to know when this is going to happen. I need to have a sense of what's going on here, because we're trying to plan and we're having this trouble. And if we could just get this information that would enable us to move this forward, I'm highly confident that they're going to work with you and try and get you what they can, if it's at all in the realm of what they can control. I also want to, let people know, remind people that we have a mentoring program for first-time camps and for all camps called CAMP. We're not very clever with our naming conventions in camp support, but it is basically experienced TCOs that do this every year that will help you think through like your minimum ticket number and what you need and where you might source tickets from, or, how many people you're going to need to accomplish this thing that you're trying to do. So if any of this sort of feels overwhelming, there is that resource for you. There are people that will spend as much time as you want to talk about it, on the phone with you, in person, on Zoom, whatever it takes to help you feel comfortable, because they want you to be successful. We all want you to be successful in starting a new camp. Greg, I see your hand back up, so let me bring you back in. I want to make sure we've thoroughly hit this topic for you.
The Atlas chaplain also.
Let's see you.
Thank you very much. So yeah, I kind of wanted to add a little detail to what you said earlier, because it connects to what you just said in terms of planning security. So you advocated for doing good preparation, understanding the numbers, and I can very much agree with that. It's something, for example, that our camp is doing a lot. We have a good understanding of what we need and why. However, something that I would like to kind of bring to attention, hopefully over this channel also for placement, is that while the core group of the camp is certainly doing this early and we have the knowledge, most of the people who are willing and able and will help doing the bulk of the work, they're not there yet. They start thinking about Burning Man in May, June.
Yes.
So what happens,
Yeah.
you allocate these tickets to us and you force us to buy them right now. And here you sort of create automatically this way of thinking where we are forced to just buy as much as possible. Because I personally would much prefer to get the number of, like, okay, new camp, forget this, but as an established camp for several years in the past, I would have much preferred to get the allocation early so that we can plan, but be required to actually purchase the tickets way later when people actually get to think about this and commit and so on. Because right now, I know from last years I would have tickets and people say, well, most likely we're going to go like previous years, but we cannot commit for another 2 months, and so I have to spend a bunch of thousands of dollars to buy the tickets because I know most likely they will go, and just in case I will find a replacement, but if not, I'm in trouble. So that's something that I hope can be kind of addressed over time. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, a little more inside baseball. The reason why Burning Man times the things the way that they do, it's because that's the way Burning Man's revenue and expense cycle works. So they sell about half of the tickets in this first steward sale, and then they use that money to help put on the event. So it pays salaries, it funds the man. They need that money to sort of make the event happen on the time frame that they do. Now, the flip side of that is they know that this stresses us out. Man, it stresses me out. I can't tell you how stressed I was trying to get our steward sale tickets done and purchased and in the right hands. It is an enormous amount of work. And I'm just like you say, I am talking to my campmates and they're like, man, we just had Burning Man. Why are we talking about tickets? And it is difficult. And they know this. And there are a number of ideas that are floating around about how to maybe address it. It's difficult though, because the whole Burning Man cycle, the annual cycle, is built around this influx of cash from this first steward sale. And so if you were to push that sale back or maybe flip it with the main sale, or, there's a bunch of sort of moving pieces. They're still in the process of thinking about, what are the other options? Could they do something different? It's a little bit like turning a battleship, right? So my strong encouragement to all of you, and as I said, I'm going to take all of your feedback back to level and make sure that you're being heard, but send messages in to placement, send messages in to camp support if you have other ideas. They're super open to them. This kind of idea of making sure that they have the right amount of money to do the event and all that, the sequencing and the timing, all that has been very difficult to navigate. We're just a couple years away from, Burning Man having an existential crisis, laying people off, being uncertain if Burning Man was going to survive. So, I will say it, these things take time to sort of think through. They're aware that there's an issue. They're trying to come up with ideas. But if you have ideas to share, please do. Let's bring in the Assless Chaplain again. Got your hand up. What's up, my man?
Yeah, so I think I can shed a little light on the process for first-time camps and how to deal with it. So the Assless Chapel came into being in 2022. I'd been to quite a few burns before. That was actually a really tough year for tickets, if you guys remember, because everyone wanted to come back.
First year back.
The first thing I would say is, if you can, one thing I did is I recruited people specifically who already got tickets, primarily main sale. to build the camp. If that's an option, obviously that helps. I don't know to what extent it helped, but I've tried to like fill out every single form that Burning Man sent me, contribute to every single thing they ask for contributions, go to every campfire talk, and you'll see I still use my Playa name. You may want to think, I don't know if this helped, but I just made sure I was visible everywhere. They saw that I actually cared, and I made sure that my name was reflective of the camp on every Zoom call. I did not know if I was going to get tickets. So you're talking about June. I myself, the theme camp operator, didn't have tickets until July. In July, they let us know. And they gave us, interestingly, 3 tickets, which, through every other sale I've seen, they only do tickets. You get to buy 2. So it was interesting that it allowed us an odd number. And the other thing I would say that could alleviate some of your planning concerns would be, Fixer, do you mind me asking to go on mute for a sec? Sorry, I was just getting feedback from that.
I got it.
They were really easy with me on WAPs. So we only had 11 people. They gave us 3 tickets allocated, but they were willing to give us 9 WAPs for as early as we wanted, because I said it's a first-time camp. Many of the people here weren't able to plan until the last minute because we didn't, know about tickets. And they weren't nearly as cool about it once we were an established camp this past year. But in 2022, they gave us all the WAPs we wanted as early as we wanted, so we can make sure to pull it off. And just to reiterate, talk to your placers. Again, as many points of contact as you can, let them know everything that's going on. They appreciate it, and it'll help them gauge, how they can help you.
Thank you.
Sender, now that the atlas mentioned WAPs, I have a question about WAPs.
Okay.
Somebody is asking if they're transferable between camps, and the person, I think Drew, was curious and how they are best allocated.
So, be very careful with WAPs. WAPs are intended to help you get in and build your camp, right? They're not sort of given to you to give away, or, it's a difficult process for Burning Man, and you should know this. They have to negotiate with the BLM and talk with the BLM about the population on Playa each day during build week. The BLM does not let Burning Man just bring whoever in willy-nilly, right? They say, look, and if you get above this number on this day or this number on this day, and it's kind of ramping up, they get pushback. So it's really important that you only ask for the amount of WAPs that you need to build your camp. Just like you need a minimum ticket, you have a minimum ticket number. Think about what is the minimum number of people that you need to build your thing, and understand that the WAPs are also scarce. And then if you're taking WAPs that you don't need, that those are WAPs that someone else didn't get that they may need. So instead of you trading them with camps or giving them to other camps, it's much better to let placement know that you have too many WAPs, or that you're not going to use some WAPs, and give them back so that they can much better accurately understand, what that population on Playa is going to be, and they can have those conversations with the BLM.
I also wanted to add that if you do not do what Sander is recommending and just give away to your friends and other camps, that might get you in trouble, and placement might, put your placement in jeopardy. So do not just use those WAPs to help other people who want to help everybody, but those are your camp only. So yes, it will get you in trouble if you give those WAPs, especially if you try to sell them.
Yeah, absolutely. There is no dollar value associated with a WAP. WAPs are to get stuff built. There are some people in our camp, we have people who want to be there early because they enjoy seeing the city kind of come alive, and they're willing to do extra work or come be a part of the build crew because of that. But by no means sell them or give them away. If you have extras, put those right back into placement and let them handle it. Let me go a little bit forward in the slides here. I want to make sure, given we have about 25 minutes here to go. I want to spend just a minute talking about the allocations that you get from Burning Man, right? So we talk about backing up for a second, the Steward Sale 1, Steward Sale 2. How do you sort of think about those ticket allocations? I think it's really important, if you have really done a good job on your minimum ticket number, to only purchase what you need. If they give you too many tickets, you do not have to buy them. Don't speculate on tickets. I'll tell you that other camp that I mentioned early on that just kind of doesn't do a lot of planning and they just sort of buy everything that they can. That camp ended up with a lot of extra tickets. And they were not able to sell those tickets. And they took a 5-figure loss on those tickets. They had tickets they didn't need in the end. The market moved away from them. If folks remember last year, for the first time in a long time, people on social media were just hamming and hawing about going, the bad economy in Silicon Valley, the inflation, and the market, tickets sort of up until last year, tickets were easy to sell always. There was always demand for tickets. There were people that were having trouble selling their extra tickets. And there was a lot of discussion and pressure on social media to sell tickets below face. So my advice is avoid all that. Avoid speculating on tickets. Do the work on the front end. The tickets that you do have in your steward sale, remember, those are part of the minimum number of tickets that you need to make your camp happen. So protect those steward sale tickets. Make sure that you're thoughtful about who those tickets go to. Don't let those tickets wander off. If for whatever reason, one of those people or two of those people or whatever don't end up going, have an agreement in place, even if it's just a social understanding between you that if people aren't going to go, that those tickets come back to the camp, that the camp then will tell them who those tickets should go to if they're going to sell them, so that you can keep that minimum ticket number intact and safe and that you have what you need. And this is something that folks alluded to earlier. The steward sale takes place super early in the burn season. And, the way some people tackle this is they say, okay, well, there's no restriction on who buys my steward sale tickets, so I'm going to have all my friends and family buy them, or, I'm going to figure this all out later. My urge to you is don't wait. As much as you can, I know it's early, but try to have the conversations, because when you do this, you're also in some respects speculating, right? If you have, your friends from college, from your fraternity, or maybe your buddies at work, or the guys on your softball team, or, your cousins all buy a bunch of tickets and they're not intending on going to Burning Man, and then you don't need those tickets. Well, it's with them. It's with these people you care about that may sort of take some of that loss. So speculation, try not to do it. Try not to buy tickets on the come as much as possible. I know it's uncomfortable. I know it's hard to get people to have these conversations sometimes, but try to do it. And then, the fourth bullet is something that we saw for the first time last year. Don't assume that any tickets that you buy are going to easily be sellable. That was the huge sea change of this past year. For the first time, people couldn't just, here, I have 100 people that want to buy this ticket. No. People really struggled, especially after the Oh My God sale, and I think it was early July, to sell their excess tickets. And they lost a lot of money. So watch what's happening if for whatever reason you find that you have extra tickets. Maybe you did all the work on your ticket target, but people dropped out and now you have some extra tickets, you scaled down, but you now have these extra tickets. Pay attention to what's happening on social media. Pay attention to what resale sites are listing tickets for. Pay attention to, what happened with the FOMO sale. The FOMO sell out quickly. Just get some gauges of demand, and don't be afraid to go ahead and try and put those tickets somewhere else, into Step or something else. And if you're wrong, you can try and get another couple tickets from some other source. But you're, in my mind, and this is the theme of all of these symposium breakouts that we've done, is don't lose money on Burning Man. You're already giving so much of yourselves, your time, your effort, your community is doing the same. Don't lose money on your camp. Don't lose money on Burning Man. Don't sit on tickets. Don't be a martyr. And if you really, you get some extra tickets in these allocations, maybe in the second steward sale, and you're not sure if you're going to need them, don't be afraid to pass. You don't need to buy every ticket they give you. You don't have to buy them. Communicate with placement while you're passing. They're not going to beat you up on this later. It's the right thing to do. If you take anything away from this this whole sort of breakout. It's one, do a bunch of work on the front end, and then two, don't be afraid to communicate with placement. They'll work with you. They're good people. They have your best interest in heart.
Thunder, we have somebody with hands up.
Yes. Hi, Riker. Let me bring you in.
Hey, thanks. I'm first time I'm doing a lead for an established camp, and I apologize if this is kind of an ignorant question to ask, but I'm pretty naive, I think. We're all good with storage tickets. I'm feeling everything you're saying, understanding what everyone else is saying. We're pretty good. But I think I don't understand when you say only purchase what you need. Are you saying that the camp is buying tickets for their campers?
No.
Is that what that means?
I'm saying if so you get an allocation of tickets, right?
Sure.
So, and they have you assign those tickets to people. And let's say your minimum ticket number is 15.
Yeah.
And they gave you 20 tickets in the sale. My point is, you don't have to buy that extra 5.
Okay.
Just buy what you need. And when by buying, I'm saying you're allocating those to people who are buying them. My point is less that the camp is buying anything. It's more that you as a community are buying these for your community project, which is your camp. Does that make sense?
Got it. Yeah. Thank you.
There is no way to, and look, that's one of the things that I wish would happen is that camps could buy, camps, some of them have nonprofits and they have a lot of organization. And, it would be nice if the camp itself could do some things with Burning Man. But to my knowledge, one person can buy 2 tickets on 1 vehicle pass. So there's no way around that. So anytime you hear purchasing tickets, that's the idea. It's 2 tickets, 1 vehicle pass. But you don't have to buy that vehicle pass. You don't have to buy both tickets. You can scale it up and down as you need.
Senator, I have a question by Rob. He said that he mentioned, I never got the email message about the stewardship sale. Can that still happen for me?
For the first sale, no. I'm imagining not, because that sale has already happened and it's already ended. But that's why, backing up here, there's another sale. And that's why you should reach out to placement, tell them what happened, why it didn't work out for you, you didn't get the email, and see what they can do for you. They have levers that they can pull to help you, and I know they will try if they can. I see Fixer's hand. Fixer.
Unmute. Is that working?
Can hear you.
I think, it's a nice thing to throw out a word of caution to, don't buy tickets if you don't need them. But I think it's kind of unrealistic, because I'd say every TCO that puts on a camp of any size knows that they have to get every ticket they can find to pull it off, because they're only going to give you about half the tickets you need. That's all there is to it. It's just reality. So last year was definitely, I got stuck with tickets 2 years in a row. One were the main reasons. The main reason a lot of people got stuck with tickets last year, I think, was, of course, the ticket market folded as soon as the rain was coming. And, we always, and tickets build camps. I'm sorry. That's just reality. You can't discount that, so you get half the tickets you need, the other half you have to scramble for. But, the soapbox that I'm always on is the stupid effing 2 ticket rule, which destroys our lives half the time, putting on a 100-person camp or bigger camp, because you have to assign 2 tickets to one person, and then somebody has to manage where that next ticket goes to. It has to be transferred. You have to wait for the transfer tool to come up, which doesn't usually come up till like June, which is ridiculous, completely ridiculous, in the face of keeping the 2 ticket rule in place. And I don't care what they say, why, it doesn't matter. It's a stupid freaking rule. I'll never back down from it, ever. And the other reason we got stuck with a lot of tickets last year and the year before was one reason that, if you may not know this, but if you're trying to let people know about tickets, and maybe I already went into this because I was a little late getting into this session, but
it's coming up.
they definitely stop tickets from being transferable. They do. At some point around the start of build or whatever, you might have 10 tickets in there that you're hoping to be able to sell for whatever reason and move, and all of a sudden they're not transferable. So you're already on playa. You have to figure out a way to get to gate. You have to go get those tickets as paper and figure out how in the hell you're going to sell them or get rid of them or move them. And you cannot. All you can do is maybe kill yourself to get out to Empire and sell them on paper. The second thing is that, I guess you're going to go into this, sorry, but they destroyed us with STEP last year. They would not let any ticket go into STEP unless it was put into STEP by the original buyer. And if you're running a 150 person camp and you're managing, 100 tickets, trying to make that work for everyone in camp, which is our job, unfortunately, and they say that a ticket can't go into STEP unless the original buyer puts it in there, that means the original buyer is going to get the money, and it may take you days to figure out who the original buyer was. And that is probably the stupidest thing I've ever seen the org do in my career as a human being. And they wouldn't even, and here's the other thing, and I'll quit bitching, but why don't they fucking tell us they're doing these things? Why don't they tell us they're doing these things? Why didn't they announce early, hey, if you get a ticket in STEP, don't forget only the original person could put it in there, and then people would bitch about it. And then maybe it's called communication. The same with making tickets non-transferable. What on earth reason would they have to make tickets non-transferable about the first day of build? Everyone's still juggling and trying to make it work. So tickets build camps. And of course, we're going to be having to buy. The 2-ticket rule kills you. I'm sorry. Anybody that says it's not an issue is not running a camp of more than 15, 20 people. I'm sorry. It's a disaster. But that's just my soapbox. I never stopped bitching about it. But yeah, we got stuck with 5 figures of tickets last year. Paper. Try that on for size. Try that on about middle of build week, whatever it was last year. You have to go to the airport and get 13 tickets out in paper and try to figure out what you're going to do with them. And on the way back to camp, it starts raining like a bitch. You might as well just, whatever with them. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. Maybe that was 3 cents, but there you go.
It was more than 3, but we appreciate it. All right. Fixer and I are good friends. We talk all the time. And I've been, Fixer is actually a big reason I started volunteering for camp support. And he's been talking about this 2-ticket rule for a long time. Fixer has a larger camp. So if you remember in Level's presentation, there's only like maybe 100 camps or something similar, 139 camps. I can't remember, something around that neighborhood that have more than 100 people. And Fixer is one of those people. And so when you're a camp like Fixer and you have a ton of infrastructure, you're trying to do a lot of things, it's really hard to get into that groove between what your minimum ticket number is and then what you can expand to without a lot of heartache. And so, he's under a lot of pressure to get as many tickets as he can because he needs a lot of people. And what I'm asking and urging people to do is by thought, by effort, by working with camp, by getting help from other people, try to create this gap. Fixer's gap is real tight, right? Between what he needs and what he can get. Try to expand this gap as much as you can between what you need just to be successful and what you have access to. And the way to do that is keep sort of working that number down of how many people you have to have. It's okay to do less. That's one of the messages I heard from the plenary today. It's okay to do a little bit less if you need to. You can scale it up and down as you have people and you have resources. So I will tell you that some of the other things that Fixer talked about, we're going to talk about in just a second. I've only got about 10 more minutes, so I'm going to hit the rest of this info, and then we'll go right back into your questions and your thoughts. So avoiding losing money. I personally, it's my mission. This is why I volunteer. In Burner Network, we give out grants, as I mentioned earlier, to camps that are struggling or losing money or they've had trouble making ends meet. It's my passion as a volunteer is I don't want any Burning Man camps to lose money. I hate hearing stories where some guy or some gal is like, hey man, I lost 20, 30, 40, $50,000 on my camp last year. I don't know if I can keep doing it. I can't figure this out. Maxed all my credit cards out. I love doing this, but I just financially can't make it work. And I'm trying to urge everybody that there is a way to do it. Let us help you. Let us get more people around you so that you don't lose your passion and you don't lose this thing you love doing. Tickets is a moving target. It moves around. What's going on in the market moves around. What tickets are available to you? Like I mentioned last year, the way new camps work and what their allocations were in space and all that sort of stuff, that changed midstream last year. So stay tuned in, keep on top of those placement newsletters, be active about going to campfire talks. There's Ask a Placers where you can go and talk to them. Send messages into placement. Get whatever information you need and don't be bashful about it, and stay on top of what's going on with these tickets. If you have a pool of tickets that's not in the hand of their final buyers, right, or their final users, because of whatever happened, or maybe you just bought too many tickets as a camp or something similar, pay attention to what's going on in the market. Look at StubHub, look at social media, look at the conversation in the ticket groups on Facebook and other places. Look and understand what people are doing. It became pretty obvious last year around June that we had this crazy thing going on. And if you sort of had paid attention at that point, you could have gotten those tickets sold at face. If you waited until after the Oh My God sale to address this, you're in trouble. As I've been saying, protect your camp finances. If things are looking uncertain, sell into STEP, sell into other programs if you need to. After the Oh My God sale is too late. While I talk about watching social media, there's also a trap associated with that I want to make sure that you guys are aware of. So as TCOs, we are told over and over and over again, never, ever sell tickets for more than face. It's horrible for culture. It's horrible for our community. Don't do that. The thing that really ticked me off last year when all this ticket availability happened is there was a lot of pressure on TCOs to sell below face. So don't sell above face. That's the worst thing in the world, right? But do sell below face because of the market and eat that loss yourself. And to me, I am not on board with that. You guys as TCOs, you already give too much. There's no reason for you to take a loss for the team, right? But you have to defend yourself because no one's going to bail you out. Burning Man's not going to bail you out. The market's not going to bail you out in that situation. The only thing that's going to bail you out is you protecting you. So sell early. You don't have to sell below face. I know a lot of people that sold tickets just by having to put some more shoe leather into it and not lose money. So you don't have to do that. No matter what social media is saying or anybody's saying, you hold the line when you're selling, hold the line when you're buying, should hold the line when you're selling. Face. Don't do anything else other than that. Face. Last couple slides here. Selling tickets. There's two methods you can really sort of move tickets. There's the ticket transfer tool, which a lot of people seem to not know about. And then there's STEP. STEP has changed a lot recently. But the idea is that you're going to sell your tickets back into basically Burning Man. It's really a third party that then goes and resells those tickets. There was a lot of traffic about that, and we'll talk about that in a second. But Burning Man also offers something called the ticket transfer tool. And this, you handle the money issue separately, and then you go into this tool and you just transfer the ticket using a burner profile email address. And so when I've sold tickets or when we bought tickets as a camp, this is typically how we do it. We use the ticket transfer tool. We don't use STEP very much. There are charges associated with STEP. But a ticket transfer tool, you move the money via Zelle or something similar, and then you go in and you transfer the tickets. There are new 1099 rules associated with moving money, though, PayPal or Venmo. I think it's $5,000 is what they put in place for this year, 2024. You're going to get a 1099. And so keep good records as to what you're doing. If you don't do it, look at some of our other videos about making sure that you have an entity to protect you and you're not paying taxes on this stuff. If you do, if you're not using STEP, make sure you get the money first. And I advise people when they do PayPal to do friends and family. Don't give in to the pressure to not do friends and family, because they can go in and ask to have those charges reversed. And you have to fight with PayPal so that they don't take the money back from the ticket. So that's a not uncommon scam. Someone will buy tickets from you and then they'll protest it, and then you have to defend it. And if you miss that, or you're on playa when that happens and the window closes for you to resolve that, you're in trouble. So if you do PayPal, do friends and family. Zelle is great. As Fixer was saying, note that Step closed last year unexpectedly because they didn't have enough buyers. We don't know exactly how that worked. I will also tell you that if you buy tickets and as a person, and then you want to put them into Step, if you transfer that to someone else and say, hey, could you put that into Step for me? That didn't work last year. So if a ticket had been transferred with a ticket transfer tool, then it was not eligible for Step anymore. So just be mindful how that works. I was told that was a bug, that wasn't supposed to happen, but it did. So be very wary about Step and the ticket transfer tool working exactly how you think it will. Ask questions, send emails in, get the information that you need. And then the last thing that I want to hit really quick is the idea that tickets are used in some camps as incentives, right? So if you come into my camp and you do a whole bunch of work, then I'm going to facilitate getting you a ticket through, DGS, or, this idea that you're helping me hit my minimum ticket number. That's fine when things are, operating normally. Tickets are hard to get, and, you're kind of making that social contract. But you got to think very deeply about your camps and offer more than just tickets. Make sure it's fun. Make sure that people are happy to be there. Make sure that they're enjoying the experience of doing this additional work that they're doing. Try to make sure that it's not just, hey, I have you a ticket, so I'm going to put you through hell. Not that you would do that, but just something to think about when you're planning out your camps. So that's it. That's all I have for you. If you have any questions or suggestions, campsupport@burningman.org. We've got a couple of minutes left. Daisy, or D-Rex, are there other questions that we could bring in?
Yes, give me 1 second. I am putting in the chat a feedback form, and I'll appreciate if you guys fill in that form at the end of the session.
Okay.
So a question from Douglas. So he said, my camp is getting more ambitious. We wanted to add some night interactivity with 5 more people, but our allocation went down by 2. Any advice?
So part of it is communicating with placement, right? Let's go back to this chart here. There is another sale that happens. You can talk with placement about it, and maybe they can get you some more tickets. Also, make sure you're exploring all of these other avenues. So what you're describing is a situation where you have a minimum ticket number that you've thought about, and you've really worked towards, but you didn't get enough tickets in the steward cell to make that happen. That's fine. That happens. Now you just need to work the rest of this harder. Certainly talk to placement, see what they can do for you. Also make sure that you're looking at all these other avenues to get tickets. But time for one more question, D-Rex. Anything else?
Okay, Sasha said, if you have information from past year, how many tickets a first time camp can expect during steward cell number 2?
Yeah, I don't, because that's a moving target. That's definitely a question you want to send into placement. So placement@burningman.org. And the final moments that we have here, and we have to make way for the next group that's coming on. I just want to thank you all for the work that you do. All you TCOs are what make Burning Man go. This is really hard, difficult stuff, and we're here to help you. If there's anything that you need, please reach out to campsupport@burningman.org. We can keep the discussion going through those emails. I'm on social media. I'm easy to find. I'm Sandor@burningman.org if you want to send me an email, and I'll try and get you whatever answers that you have. And if you have suggestions about how placement should be doing things, or changes that you would like to see, that's placement@burningman.org. I want to thank everybody for your time today. Thanks for coming out to the symposium. Thank you to D-Rex and for her help with chat. Thank you for all the input that you guys have provided, and we'll see you in the dust.
Thank you, Sandor. Thank you, Daisy.